Recorded at Mute 6 Studios. This is not your average entrepreneur or e-commerce podcast, and he's not your average host. This is the story of a brand with your host, Ramon Vela.
Mumgry is a plant-based snack food company, and we were created out of necessity. So we really wanted to be able to create a line of snack foods that are enjoyable by anyone and that can really be consumed by anyone. We make sure that all of our products are low in sugar, high in protein, high in iron. And the way that we began this was just by seeing that there needed to be more products that were, easy to consume and easy to purchase, and that removed all the guesswork. We wanted people to spend less time reading the back of a label and more time opening the package and consuming the foods.
Now, most vendors in the Shopify ecosystem will have you believe that subscription-focused commerce is the key to customer retention for CPG brands. But with monthly churn rates pushing 10% across the industry, Repeat has a better way. Repeat will automate a frictionless reordering experience for the largest part of a CPG brand's customer base, the non-subscriber. Repeat uses machine learning to analyze one-time shopper behavior, automates reordering notifications, and delivers personalized replenishment carts that aid in upsell and cross-sell efforts. The result? Higher LTV, better margins, and more insights on your best customers. To learn more, visit signup.getrepeat.io. Again, that's signup.getrepeat.io. Hey, are you interested in improving your abandoned cart recovery rates? Well, let me tell you about Cart Text. Cart Text is powered by real people, not bots, not AI, real people. Cart Text will contact and engage with your customers in real time to make the sales that you missed. One by one, Cart Text will convert your abandoned carts, churn subscriptions, and billing-related issues using live agents and SMS. Real people getting the job done. Visit carttext.com. Again, that's carttext.com. And please let them know that the story of a brand sent you. Hey everyone, this is Ramon Vela, and this is another episode of the story of a brand. Like always, we have an amazing founder and company that we're going to feature on today's show. But before we do, like always, we have a question about gratefulness. So Lillian, is there a time when you can remember and that you can share when you felt so grateful because someone helped you, someone did something for you, but what it meant was that they believed in you or your vision or your potential? Do you remember a time like that of gratefulness?
Absolutely. There's been multiple, but the one that stands out the most for me was when I started Mumgry. I was attending markets, and to go to markets, you have to bring quite a lot of things with you, and you have to at some point build things in order to make your product look great. And without even asking, without even really providing direction, my husband just jumped in and became someone that I can really rely on and confide in, and just be present for moments where I felt completely confused and deflated and lost. He just stepped in. And I think that, as a wife, I have my own expectations of my husband and what he needs to be there for me, when he needs to be there for me. But he really just made me believe that I needed to be at the markets and did everything to make sure I showed up every single weekend. And on top of, all of his physical presence, he gave me the motivation and the encouragement every single time that there was a market. He just made me feel like I was in the right place. And I think that sometimes when we want people to root for us, we have these ideas of how we want them to root for us.
Mhm.
And it really dawned on me that if you just make people feel good about being where they're at, it can do wonders for their confidence and just self-belief. So I'm very grateful for my husband just being a rock in the relationship that we have, but also for my business as well.
Wow, I love that example, and and it's really interesting. Out of curiosity, if you don't mind me asking, so your husband is, I assume, like he has his own stuff that he's doing, work, whatever, and so he's not necessarily like on the day-to-day part of the business, but his support is there for you. It sounds like, and his amazing support is there for you in helping you, because this is such a difficult, it's such a challenging endeavor, starting something and building something. I'm curious.
It's actually evolved. It's evolved because he had nothing to do with the business on a day to day, and now he's beginning to become more involved, and it's happening in a very organic way because I think that I'm naturally the type of person that wanted to work on my own, do everything on my own, but it's been proven that we can work together, and so we're doing it very slowly. It hasn't been an overnight, okay, you're a partner now in the business. So yeah, he's becoming more involved now, but in the beginning, he was really there for me voluntarily every single step of the way.
Well, I'm just curious too, it's just so interesting to me, this whole dynamic. It's one of those dynamics where we don't really talk so much about it. We always focus on the founder, the entrepreneur. We don't really talk about their relationship around them, their family, their friends, their husbands, their spouse or partners, whoever. And so before we move on, I am curious. I love how you are aware of how he has supported you. And I love what you said about, like how he made you feel, and how it occurred to you that if you make someone feel good about where they are, it could just do wonders for them. I love that. I love what you said there. Is there any advice that you give to another founder there? So when you feel this way and all this love and support from him, and you, of course, are like working, grinding on doing this, what sorts of things have you done to give it back? I'm just curious. Like, have you found a good way to give it back, to show your appreciation, and maybe, I don't know, support what he's doing too?
It's going to sound very elementary, but I like to show him what we've done. So I like to almost review what's transpired through our, working relationship or through our actions. So I often, if it's a market, then I would show him, look what we did. We got there at 5 a.m. We set up, we got our coffees in, we managed to knock off this amount of sales, and we have this much product left. And we really we did this. And I throw the word we out as much as possible, because I think when people understand that their involvement was, fundamental in creating whatever outcome you were trying to achieve, it's the T in teamwork. I think it's really important for us to just recognize people and share what the entire journey was with them, because it's so easy to forget. It's easy to just keep going and to keep going to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. But I try to take moments for celebration and for recognition of their work and then our work together.
Yeah. Well, and it's so interesting. I mean, you touched on something else right now, that one of the reasons why I even do, like, I always ask this question, which is, I think we get so bombarded with like all the daily tasks. Like, there's just never an ending amount of tasks that we have to do, whether it's sending out emails, making phone calls, packaging things, whatever it is, we're just constantly doing stuff. It just seems like it never ends. But I think it's really hugely important to just to step back for a second and say, you know what, I'm grateful because, you know, we made that connection at that market or that trade show, or we made that sale, or you know, we got this order in, or we got placed in this journal or whatever, in this news, you know what I mean? Like, you got to just stop sometimes and just appreciate it and celebrate it. You know, it's just like smile and just be happy, because, you know, if you don't, I think you just build up too much anxiety and stress and everything else. You just got to take a moment and just enjoy it. Cause that's really if the journey isn't enjoyable, like, what are we doing this for? I mean, you know, it's like, it's not.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I actually really love telling him what he's taught me or what I didn't know how to do. Like, for instance, if there's something that I know for sure that I don't have this, you know, the skills for, or the experience with, I think one of the greatest compliments that you can offer someone once they've done something really kind for you is telling them how, you know, not only could you have not done it without them, but you had no idea how to do it without them. I think that's something, you know, that I've kind of learned over the years, that people want to know what they're great at and what they're contributing. So if you share that with them, you know, even if they already know it, it just makes them feel even better about being a part of your work.
Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah. Well, and thank you. I really do appreciate you sharing and being so contemplative about this. So I appreciate it. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Well, and I just really want to quickly tell you and the audience out there, I'm grateful. We just launched our website. It's called thestoryofabrand.com. And it's evolving. It's a show site right now, but we're going to start adding new content, new videos and things like that. We're going to review products that we've featured on the show. And there's just so much we want to do. And we really we're so happy we can do this. And we can do this because we have tremendous amount of support that we're grateful for as well. We've got some amazing advertisers and sponsors, and I just recommend everyone out there, please do me a favor, when you're listening to the show and you hear an advertiser, go and take a look to see if there's something there for you. I do my best to choose some really great advertisers, really good people, great products or services. And so I definitely recommend that. And one company in particular that I want to do a quick shout out is my sponsor, Mute6. They actually sponsored the entire show. So they make both a time and resource and a financial commitment to support this show and support my mission. And I can't tell you how grateful I am for them, because I just can do so much because of their support. It's a company called Mute6. You can go to mutesix.com, mute6.com. They even have a page for me called mute6.com/story of a brand. And they've been around 8 years. They have some brands that I personally consume, and they are customers of theirs, like Beekeeper's Natural and Stradia and a bunch of others. They just have done such a great job with them. And so I just truly appreciate their support. If you have an opportunity, go to mute6.com/story of a brand, check them out, see if there's anything there for you. They offer some audits, omni-channel audits for my listeners that are free, but very comprehensive. It's like a SWOT analysis. It'll help you out. So do me a favor, check them out. But even if they're not for you, if you see them on the web or social media, wherever, tell them thank you on my behalf, because what they do really helps me do this show. And if you enjoy it, please support those who support me. All right, without further ado, let's get to the main event. We've already been talking to Lillian, and even though the gratefulness part isn't necessarily part of our interview, I always find that learning what people are grateful for actually gives me a peek into who they are as well. So I feel like I already kind of know Lillian, as you out there in the listening audience probably do too. So let me introduce you to Lillian Umarunji Jung, founder of Mumgry. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well,
I'm very excited to be here.
Did I say your name correctly? Because I know we were practicing it earlier. So.
Lillian Umarunji Jung.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. And I, like I said, I love saying your name. So why don't we level set everybody? You've got this really amazing products and brand, and I'm sure there's people who know you, but for those who don't, why don't we level set them? And if you don't mind giving us a 100-foot overview of the brand, and then afterwards we'll kind of dive into your journey.
So Mumgry is a plant-based snack food company, and we were created out of necessity. So we really wanted to be able to create a line of snack foods that are enjoyable by anyone and that can really be consumed by anyone. They, we make sure that all of our products are low in sugar, high in protein, high in iron. And the way that we began this was just by seeing that there needed to be more products that were, easy to consume and easy to purchase, and that removed all the guesswork. We wanted people to spend less time reading the back of a label and more time opening the package and consuming the food. So Mumgry has started with 3 natural nut butters, and I'm looking forward to discussing each of them with you.
Well, one thing I definitely want to know, and interestingly enough, I rarely ask this question, the following question, because I always feel like it's kind of played out. People probably ask you all the time, but in this case, I kind of feel like I need to ask it, and it's about your name. You have such a unique name, but if it at the same time the name sounds familiar, like it's almost like I already, even before I heard your company name, when I heard it, I felt like, wow, I feel like I've heard that name before, but it's new, it's unique, but it feels familiar, and it's emotive. It's almost like it's describing an emotion almost. And so I don't know. So if you don't mind, if you sharing that story, how did you get the name? Oh, and before we do that, let me just mention that if you want to check out the website as we're having this discussion, you can go to mumgry.com, mumgry.com. Mumgry, of course, is a name that we're just talking about right now. And so, Lillian, if you don't mind, just you sharing how did you get the name? How did it come about?
It's my favorite story to share. So I was pregnant in 2018 with my son Apollo and our son Apollo with my husband. And I was going to work every day. I was working for a tech and game company. And every day I would go to work, and right across the street was a grocery store. And I would wander over to the grocery store looking for something to snack on. And every time that I went, it just became increasingly frustrating because I wasn't able to find anything where it said, you're pregnant and you can eat this and you're going to be fine. And, it kind of dawned on me that this concept of eating for 2 wasn't as fun as I thought it would be. It was actually, it was creating more paranoia for me. It was just giving me anxiety. And so every time that I'd go to the grocery store, I would look at the snacks, and then I would, go home, and I would just be almost just frustrated because I would end up eating things that I wasn't sure about. And so one day I came home really frustrated, and my husband asked me what I wanted to eat. And he's like, would you like a snack? Would you like some food? What would you like? And I screamed at him, and I told him, I don't know what I want to eat. All I know is that I'm mumgry. Mm-hmm. And he just started laughing at me, and he's like, what? He's like, what are you? I said, I'm mumgry. And he thought it was hilarious and told me that I should trademark it just, as a joke. And I kind of kept it in the, back of my mind because we were just cackling and laughing about my new made up word. And so I, during our visits to our gynecologist, I would ask a lot of questions like, okay, so what should I be eating? What are things that are safe for me to eat and that my husband can enjoy as well? Like, what can we all enjoy that is going to support the growth of my baby? And My gynecologist was incredible. And she said to us, nuts, nut butter, all the things that you're craving, the peanut butter, that stuff is good for you. But you just want to make sure that you're, eating the right peanut butter. You want to make sure that you're eating the right things, but it is incredibly beneficial to everyone. And that stuck in my mind. And so when I had, was postpartum on mat leave, I started to do a lot of prep on my own, creating snacks at home. And I found that just incorporating nut butters was making me feel really good. It was giving me the protein and the energy that I needed to just get through the day and to get through breastfeeding and all the things that I was experiencing. And so I said to my husband, I said, I think I'm going to develop this into something where everyone can enjoy it, because I just started to realize that, when we were going over to our friends' places, and if there was someone pregnant, I didn't know what to bring other than flowers or something for the baby. And now I was starting to see that, what about the mom? Like, the mom needs to enjoy something as well. And same with the father. Everyone's low on energy. So let's just give them something good. And we just, I started really experimenting and just became very picky around nut butters. I've tried over, I want to say 100 nut butters at this point. I've tried every single nut butter under the sun, and just started to realize that it needed to be very simple, roasted nuts, no salt, no sugar. And that's what we were able to create, which sounds so simple. And yet it's not as easy to find on the shelf sometimes.
Wow. Yeah, I love that story. And it's one of the things, just as a side note, one of the things I love about using a made up word is that typically, and I'm assuming it's in your case, but typically when you go to find the website address, like, it's there because no one else, it's a made up word. So I would be really surprised if someone actually had that URL already. So
no one had it, and that was the sign.
And I love it. And I don't even know if you meant this when you said it, but it's also because you were a mother, and the whole mom was that part of the. Is that what you were thinking? You're a mom, mom, that kind of stuff. Yeah. I don't know if you didn't, if it's almost perfectly within that whole kind of story and concept.
Yeah, it started being a hungry mom, and then it sort of evolved into this thing where, I have friends who don't have children, and they're mumgry all the time, and they tell me how they're mumgry, and they're mumgry for all sorts of things. They're mumgry for change. They're mumgry for life. They're mumgry for a cake. It's now become this word that we are determined to get into the Webster Dictionary. So one day it will show up on Jeopardy, and we will be very happy.
And one of the things, and I've actually been learning a little bit lately about this, about just the nutritional value of peanuts and nuts and things like that. And what strikes me too is because there's so many people now moving towards maybe not like a full plant diet, but trying to incorporate more plant-based foods into their diets. And it's so interesting how it's really kind of gained that whole concept has really gained entry into a lot of places and a lot of people I didn't even think would be into it. But I know a lot of folks who, because of their, I don't know, maybe they have diabetes or maybe they have some sort of particular issue that they go towards plant-based. But I mean, it's not just them. I just think it's a larger trend, obviously. But what I don't hear all the time is, for those who are doing that, what type of foods should they be taking in order to supplement certain things like protein, right? And nuts and things like that are great snacks and source of protein. It's almost like we forget, like whole plant-based movement is moving forward, but sometimes we forget, like, hey, there's some stuff that's always been around that's actually good for you, especially if you're plant-based. So do you talk about that, and do people approach you that way? Because for me, as someone who's been plant-based since 2004, I'm constantly looking for ways to supplement my nutritional, needs, whether it's multivitamins and or my renewed interest in the last, I don't know, 5 years around nuts. I mean, does that come into play? Do you see that more and more people are looking towards nuts and nut butters and so forth because they're seeing that as an addition to their plant-based diet?
Absolutely. And I find that with, individuals that are transitioning to a more plant-based diet, I think one of the biggest challenges or the almost misconception is that, am I going to feel as full? Am I going to feel as energized? Will I get all of the nutrients that are required for me in a day? And so when they learn about Mumgri, one thing that I've really found most interesting and almost satisfying for me is that, I have a father who's diabetic. And when I showed Mumgri to him, he was looking at it through his own diet and he was checking off his own boxes and going, okay, no sugar, no salt. This is amazing. I can actually eat this. And when I've introduced it to people who are plant-based, they're saying to themselves, oh, great. I have been eating peanut butter and I have been eating almond butter or any type of nut butter, but I've never had it with pistachio before. You've taken it to another level. You've given me another option. And I think that when you look at the pantry of plant-based, it's growing and it's finally growing at a very rapid pace. But I still believe that we are in very much a word of mouth phase of the plant-based lifestyle. And so I think it's important that brands who are specifically plant-based make it known so that it's easier for plant-based individuals to just consider it for their pantry or for their fridge. So I really do feel like consumers have really helped me with understanding just how large the plant-based community is, because there's so much gratitude coming from them. They're always so grateful to have another option. And that just tells me that there's even more room for more products out there, and that it's an area that we have to continue paying attention to because, for so long we've all kind of been accustomed to one way of eating. And now we have a whole new world to explore when it comes to plant-based foods.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I've like I said, I've seen the evolution a little bit because when I started, there wasn't really that many things out there. I even learned to make some like a soy gluten, like how to prepare it and all sorts of other stuff. I mean, it's been an evolution. Like my first goal was how can I eat things that are similar to what I was eating before, so that it wasn't different. So I was trying to make my own meats, my own patties, my own, out of gluten or whatever it was at the time. And so I was just trying to replace what I had because I was a big meat eater before. And so I kind of just slowly started evolving. Now I actually eat more vegetables, more whole foods and things like that, less processed. But I still think the process component of it is necessary for people who are making that transition, especially. Yes. But I mean, again, I've talked to individuals who I've never I come from a Mexican-American culture and we have lots of meat and all sorts of different, of course, depending on what part of Mexico you're from, but there's a lot of meat in the diet. And so I was just surprised that so many people who I knew who I would never have thought would be going into eating more plant-based stuff. That I went with a friend one day. He invited me to lunch and we ended up going to a vegan restaurant and he was like, oh yeah, my daughter introduced me to this, and I was just like, wow, I can't believe that you are in a vegan restaurant. But anyways, that just shows it. I think it's penetrating circles of people who I just think I never would have thought of, at least not at this point. But I think the trend is bigger than we realize, and so I'm excited about it. I want to know I want to dive into the products and one of the topics is around functionality, because what I love, or functional, I should say, what I love about many of the brands that I've explored is not just them doing, like let's say peanuts or nuts or whatever, but how they're adding to it and they're creating more functionality around it. And I think that's a trend too, is that, a friend of mine who is a consultant for food and beverage, he says that, hey, don't forget to listen to part 2 of this amazing interview and stay tuned for a special message from me. Hey, thanks for listening. Listen, I have a big favor to ask, and it'll only take 30 seconds or less. And it will mean a huge amount to me. Now, if you like the podcast, please let me know, let my team know, and let my guests know. And you can do this by easily subscribing to the podcast. It's probably the biggest favor you can do for me right now, and it'll only take a few seconds. Thank you.